welcome back to Not On Projects. Today we are working on another motorcycle. This is a 1991 Honda ST1100, and the big selling point on this is I picked it up for $200. So no matter what kind of shape it's in, I think we're good to go, but judging by the looks, I think it was very well kept. Story on this is it was obviously an older guy's cruiser. It was very well taken care of, always garaged, even has a cover. And unfortunately he passed away. Family didn't want to deal with the bike and it was just sitting. So they put it up for 200 bucks and I picked it up. I don't anticipate that much is wrong with it. It has been sitting a few years, so we might need to go through the carbs or deal with some issues related to that. But let's start digging in and see how it looks. Let's get our new battery in. It's just the standard Group 14, and it just shoves up in here. We do have some interesting aftermarket wiring that I don't know what's for, but it's okay. Apparently, the battery that was in this, or that should go in this, is like 1/8 of an inch taller than this battery is. So I had to take the battery cage out. We're gonna come up with some kind of redneck retaining method, probably involving these. This will be fine for now, and we can figure out a better solution later. I think for now we're just gonna leave off those mystery cables. It does have some kind of aftermarket alarm system, which is a first for me for a motorcycle, but I don't know if it'll start if we just unplug it or not, so we'll find out, I guess. So let's flip the key on and see if we get lights and stuff, which we do. Looking good. Supposedly it has over a half tank, which I already did look in the tank and it looks really clean, so the sender might be accurate. Let's see if you can take a look down in there. Anyways, it's clean. There's no real sediment or rust to speak of, and the gas doesn't even really smell that bad. One kind of funny thing on this bike, this is kind of like a faux fuel tank. There's actually a big tube that goes down, and the actual fuel tank, you can see, sits down here. So, kind of funny. But let's top off this old gas. It's a massive tank, it's like 8 gallons or something. Okay, that's topped up. I think we probably just need to crank on it and see if it starts, honestly, because there's a good chance it's going to. Only variable is going to be the security system. I don't know how that works on this, and it's not currently powered, so that could be a problem. But let's see if it cranks. Oh yeah, our new battery is dead. Hopefully it is still gonna be okay. That sucks. Oh, we just hooked the jumper pack to it. Wrong way. Also didn't realize I was wrong. Okay, let's give that another go. I guess we should probably check the oil. We did not check that. Okay, let's crank some more. We got oil, so. I'm guessing we're gonna hook up our alarm system. So let's do that. This was very poorly installed. One of the cables that goes on is just that. So, good stuff. Okay, let's see if our key things do anything. No clue. But maybe it'll something change. So obviously we're not firing. Let's pull a plug wire. Hopefully it's easy to get to and see if we got spark. So to get to our plug wires, we gotta pop one of these side covers off. Here we are, real nice and clean in here. Let's go grab a spark plug and, okay, so we should be able to see that. Yep, got good spark. I do know this is a fuel pump, so I don't know if it's a vacuum operated fuel pump, like a pulse pump from the engine, or if it's electric. If it's electric, I don't hear it running, so maybe I'll read up on that real quick. And if it's engine driven, either by vacuum or by the crank, then we might just need a crank for a while. So it is electric, and I can actually hear it priming. It's just quiet. Maybe you can hear it too, I don't know. So let's prime it a few times, make sure the bowls are filled. And let's give it a go, I guess. Nothing. Let's get a look at our air intake and maybe the carburetors. I don't know if we can see it. We need to remove this top cover. And to do that, we gotta get to the bolt down here. So we gotta remove this other side cover. Also get to check our coolant level, which looks like it's up to level. And there's our prize. Should just come right off. And here's our massive air cleaner. Oh, that's, I think that's the idle adjust. Well, I guess let's pop the top on this. Well, our air cleaner looks brand new. So that's cool. What do you say we just shoot some flammable stuff down each boot and see if that pops it off? So obviously we're not getting fuel. Throw the choke on, maybe. Ran a little longer. I don't know if our idle adjust is not set right or if we have a carb problem, but mess with this a little bit while it's running. Very loud. Whichever way I adjusted that was not the right way. Okay, so I opened it up some. It seems to idling right where it should be. Manual specifies 1200, which that's close enough. Can't complain about that. Let's see how it fires back up warm. Like a dream. So maybe let's button everything up and see how it drives. So now that it's running good, we have one minor safety issue here. So probably just needs a bleed. I wonder if, I don't know, a bleeder might be leaking or something. So let's take a look at that and see what's going on. Let's pop our lid and see. Probably have no fluid here. What's funny is on this, it actually has a hydraulic clutch also. Okay, there's fluid. So we'll just bleed it and see what happens. Okay, so bleed it just like a car, except we have 2 calipers up front. I guess the car does too. So now this one you can do solo. So we're not getting any fluid to this caliper, definitely. The other caliper seemed like it dripped a little bit, but is no longer. Let's take the blader all the way out. Let's take a look. Yeah, the soles look clear. Okay, so we're gonna pop our hard line off here, let's say, and see if we get any fluid, and that will tell us if this rubber line here is okay. It should be. Yeah, not really any pressure coming from there either. So now we're gonna pop the line off of the master, because that hard line is fed only by this soft line. So obviously there's something from the master cylinder down to that hard line, and this will let us know what the issue is. It is our master. Okay, let's pop this off, get it on the bench, and see what's going on with it. Okay, feels like it's kind of building pressure, but let's pop the top off, add some fluid, bench bleed it a little bit. So I think the reason we were building pressure on the bench is because on the bike you don't get 100% travel. So it's just not building pressure all the way through travel like it should be. So let's check out the bore and seals. Basically just a miniature version of a car master cylinder, which you may need a bit of compressed air for. We'll see. Don't want to tear the boot. Unless there's a retaining snap ring or something. Take that out. Our switch wasn't working. Wondering if we have a snap ring right there. So probably gonna pull this boot up somehow. Hopefully without tearing it. There's our snap ring. And there was fluid in there, which is probably our problem. Crappiest snap ring pliers in the world. I'm actually going the wrong way. Our seal looks okay, and it feels nice and pliable. So our bore hopefully just needs a hone. You see there's kind of some buildup in there. Here's our rear seal. Also still feels okay. Now to check our bore, which doesn't look terrible. Actually looks okay. Yeah, there's not really much crudiness in there at all. Double check our seals. Looking for any nicks or anything like that. That would allow fluid to sneak past. It was leaking on this side, so this is the most suspect seal. That's steel. Looks okay. Let me check real quick if we can get these seals locally. Cars there's standard sizes. There's like 1.1/8 inch, whatever. So you can get most all seals local. I don't know about motorcycles. They may be more of a specialty thing. All right, so we got our replacement parts. Oh wait, I never even showed that it's torn seal. So turns out our seal, despite feeling pretty decent, it does have a tear in it. right there. I think you can just see it. So, no good. Luckily, a new one was like 20 bucks or something, so. And it came with a whole new piston, so we don't have to deal with stretching seals over. New boot. And a new snap ring. So we'll wipe all this gunk out of the master. And our board looks really good, so I'm not worried about that at all. No need to hone it or anything. Plus this is aluminum or just, I don't know, zinc or something. So honing it might do more harm than good. Versus a normal steel master like you'd see in a car. Then we get just a little bit of brake fluid to lube our seals up. I believe this one goes in first. This way, I believe. And this one goes in that way, I think. So here's how our stack up goes. Lube up our seals and drop them in. Get our new snap ring in place.
Is that the new one?
Yeah. Make sure our snap ring's seated in the groove. That should be good. Building pressure, so that's good. Test it real quick. Yeah, we're good. Now we just gotta put our lever back on, which I believe goes like this. Oh wait, got our new boot. Which this just shoves down in there and slots over the piston. There we go. Tighten that on the bike. Top off our master and then put our cover on. I would say that's working a little bit better. So, should be good on that. Okay, so we got the front brakes bled. It just took some working and a little bit of suction on the bleeder screws, but feels like a front brake again. Let's take it out on a ride because I think that's the only thing left. Very heavy bike, so see if we can get it out of here. You definitely feel that it weighs every bit of the 700 pounds that it's rated for, or rated at. Okay, let's get on the driveway. Okay, hopefully it starts right up. It's a little hard starting. Well, these are the couple times we tried to start it, but a little whiff of carb cleaner and it fires right up. But we'll see if it runs good. Chokes on. Better than the Triumph at low speed. So I think our throttle's not quite returning to where it's supposed to be. Because you can see, I rev it up and hold it All right, so mildly unfortunate. It seems that we're having problems with the front brake because right now the brake's not applied. We're on the center stand. I think that is supposed to spin, possibly. And because of that, on the maiden voyage, this may have fallen over slightly against the ground. Luckily, Honda saw what was coming and this took all of the impact. So this little rollover bar or lay down bar took all the damage. Everything else is okay, I think, except for the exhaust. But whatever. $200. As much as it sucks, it's fine. Everybody lived, so that's the important thing. You can see the front brake. It feels like it has pressure all the time, so I don't know, possibly I may have made a mistake putting this together. But before we dig into that, let's see if possibly our rubber lines are holding pressure. So what we're gonna do is just pop our bleeder, and if fluid comes squirting out, and then, well, actually this will tell us, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so there's a little bit of pressure there. Let's see if our wheel spins now. That should release pressure for both. Nice and easy. See, this feels normal now. Pump it a whole bunch. And then we'll check the wheel. Which still spins okay. So that's weird. My initial thought was maybe the rubber line. What happens when they age sometimes is they swell up and it'll let the high pressure fluid coming from the master pass, but it swells up and acts like a check valve and then leaves the brakes applied. So that was my initial thought, but usually it's not intermittent at all. It's an instant thing. And given that it's working okay right now, that seems unlikely. So I'm gonna do some thinking and then we'll see. All right, so I'm wondering if our return port in the master got plugged up with junk, because it seems to be working okay now, even after a bunch of cycles, so. I did try to clean everything up best I could. Okay, so I found a problem. That's our return port. It was just hidden under this, which is like a deflector of some sort. And you see that is clogged. So we'll clean that out really good. Make sure fluid flows from here through, and that'll probably take care of our issue. Okay, we got it freed up, so now we'll just put it back together. And the problem should be fixed. So our old brake switch also wasn't working for the front, so we got a new one. Should just go on. That one must be for the clutch. That one for the brake. So our brake seems to work as it should now. There's a little bit more free play up top, which makes sense with some of the pressure bleeding off. I'm guessing why it kind of started working after we released the pressure is whatever was lodged in the return hole was able to fall out. I don't know. We'll see if it's fixed. The next problem is our throttle does not return very well, and it kind of hovers above idle more than it should. So it does have this kind of like cruise control throttle lock. I don't think this is factory. You can see it says like Vista Cruise or something. So we'll just take it off and see if this is interfering with anything. I don't know, maybe it's factory. I have no clue. But that did not fix it. I think we need to open up our housing, and we may need to lube up where the cable's right on the guides. Okay, so I'm gonna spray some dry lube, like Teflon lube, on there, and also around here. You can see there was something. I don't know what kind of lube they used, but I think dry lube's the way to go. Yeah, I think we need the spray stuff because that way you can kind of spray down to where the cable goes into the jacket. I sprayed a little bit of brake cleaner, which obviously is not the right stuff, but it loosened up whatever was kind of petrified in there, and it's a lot better now. I'll have to get some of that Teflon spray, and I think that'll make it even better, but I would say that is usable. Snaps right back. Okay, so the idle is really erratic. I think it's probably something with our carburetors. So we're gonna check those out. We've already been to this point before, but not past it. So we're taking off the air cleaner housing. We can see our carbs right now. I believe these would be our crankcase breathers. Pop these off. It's nice how everything is pretty much immaculately clean in here. Don't know what this is for. Is there one over here? No. This may need to come off first. Looks like we got another hose that goes here. This was already unplugged, so don't know where this went, but we'll keep that in mind. Weird, somebody, I don't know if this is factory or not, but there's like a rubber. That's not factory. There's like surgical tubing over it. I would say that's part of our problem. Why the heck is there surgical tubing? Also, the reason why probably this adjustment was so weird. You can see now it moves nice and easy, and actually does what it's supposed to. So that's really strange. And our throttle feels about 1,000 times better. All right, let's fire it up. We should be good to fire it up as it is and see how it does, I guess. Let's see how this does. That's it. Also, it was knocking at low speed before. But not any longer. As soon as it would get down past 1200, it would start knocking, like as if the cylinders were fighting each other. But now it's fine. Oh, you can kind of hear it a little bit. So the carbs might need synchronized. Okay, so the spec is 1200. I'm gonna set it to 1500 just so that there's some wiggle room in case things get weird again. You see, things getting weird again. So what I'm doing is sometimes a slightly dirty carb, you can unplug the jets if they're not super plugged by putting a huge vacuum on it for a second. So I'm plugging it and pulling a huge vacuum, hopefully sucking any of the junk out. Got it back together. I think we got it adjusted pretty good. It's idling at about, it's searching a little bit. The carbs need maybe a little bit of a clean, but we'll run it for a while and see. See, you blip it, it comes right back down. It doesn't idle down too low or anything. I have no idea why this was on there. Obviously it wasn't helping. So, I think we're good to ride now. And hopefully, all is good this time. This time we're going to be dealing with the erratic idle. I think probably the low speed jets are clogged in the carbs. And it also needs a carburetor sync because once it drops down to around 1000 RPM, it starts kind of knocking-ish, fighting itself, which probably is due to out of sync carburetor. So let's start peeling fairings away from this and get down to the carburetors. Okay, we're to the carburetors, so now we just gotta disconnect our choke linkage, our throttle cables, which actually we may wait to do until the carbs are up, just so it's a little easier to get to. I have to pull our fuel line off. Okay, I think the only thing holding us in now that I can see are the clamps for the carbs. So we have these clamps right here that we're gonna get down to. We need a long screwdriver. Possibly we'll need to take the side bearings out. So to get to these front cylinders, I think we gotta take these covers off. Okay, so this section here is in our way, so I'll try pulling it out. Just a couple screws. Alright, so the carbs should be free, I think. Probably gonna be kind of stuck on the boots, so I might get a pry bar or something in here just to pop them free. Okay, still have this breather hose holding on. Okay, then of course we have our throttle cables, which I think we'll just undo these Phillips heads. Should not be holding it like this, it's probably pouring fuel. Alright, so now we're going to pop our bowls out, and that should give us access to all of our jets. We also have these diaphragms in here that control the fuel-air ratio. And we want to make sure those are able to move free. And you can hear how there's a little bit of air resistance. That tells us that the diaphragms are intact. So we just gotta be really careful not to damage our bowl gasket. That popped up easy. We'll see, hopefully that doesn't leak. So here's our float, needle and seat, and our jets. And that will be our main jet. This should be our idle jet here. So let's pop that out. Looks like it's been out before. Looks like it may be clogged. Yeah, feels like it's clogged, so that would be our problem. Unless it's a tiny, tiny jet, but I think it's clogged. These torch cleaners are great for cleaning carburetor jets. Hopefully we have one small enough. So we'll just go down through the opening. I think this jet may be really small. That's spraying okay. May not be clogged, it may just be a really small jet. They probably set these super lean to meet emissions. Sprayed under the carb too. But overall, we're looking really clean in here. There's a little bit of gunk down at the bottom of the bowl. Probably just because all the gas evaporated while it was sitting. So I'm just gonna blow through all the passages. And that'll make sure everything's clear. See, that took all that varnish out. Hopefully the seal works okay. We'll see, I don't know. Don't have a kit for it, so probably should have ordered one. Same story here. A little bit of silty gunk, but nothing crazy. A little bit of junk on this jet. Varnish, so that could be one of our culprits. Oh yeah. Look at that. I would say this is probably our culprit. Both jets are coming out on this. Yeah, this one's, it's not clogged, it's partially blocked up. See some of the junk in there? So that would be a problem. This is the main jet, so this should fit through no problem. Yeah, look at all this junk. I would imagine the idle jet's probably plugged too, but let's see. Yep, plug solid. See our copper wire sticking through there. Weirdly, I can't see light through it yet, but might just need to open up more. Okay, now we're free. So that was definitely our problem. One cylinder was almost not firing at idle, probably because that's a completely plugged up jet, which is obviously going to cause some searching at idle. Bowl is much cleaner than it was. I think we got all the stuff that'll cause us problems. Got all of our jets opened up. You see we have this varnish in here as well. Spray it out. Probably wouldn't be a good idea. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to throw some like seafoam, that kind of stuff through, just to dissolve any of the varnish that might have built up anywhere. Fuel lines, intake ports, carb venturi. Although the gas itself should do it eventually. So before we put our carbs in, we're going to want to put a light layer of grease on the boots just so that it drops down okay. Vaseline would probably be better, but... Okay, so gotta get our bowl drains hooked up, which you're not really going to be able to see, probably. Get our throttle hooked up. Okay, the carbs are down on the boots. If for whatever reason you're also doing this, the way I found was easiest is you want to get the left side seated down all the way, then that gets it low enough to kind of work into the inside, and you do have to do a little bit of tapping with rubber or plastic, something, so you don't damage this. Probably just because these boots are a little bit old at this point and petrified. So now we should be good to tighten up our boots. All right, so it seems to be idling way better now that we have that one carb actually working. And the little we had it running, it seemed like it wasn't doing that weird knocking, which now we know was probably almost a dead miss once it got into that idle circuit. So let's fire it up, see how it holds idle, and take her for a quick rip. Right now, we'll give it some time to warm up a little bit. You can see it's already hopping up in RPM. So we start taking the choke off. Choke's all the way off. It's idling a little low, but it'll warm up. By now, it would have already been making that horrible knocking noise, and it sounds great. So we'll just let her warm up and then take her out. Okay, now that it's warmed up, it's idling right where it's supposed to be. I have the gas access open just in case the idle needs adjusted at all, but right at 1200. So take her around the block and see how it does. Well, this thing is sweet. Pulls like a freight train, and it's just smooth as can be. This thing is pretty awesome. Definitely girthy, so you got to get used to that, but great bike, and I think a awesome score for 200 bucks. So at this point, it's pretty much roadworthy. There's not really anything left to do on it. If anything comes up, we will be working on it again, but I kind of doubt it. So thanks for tagging along, and see you next time.